Welcome to the Choosing Happiness podcast with me, your host, Rudrani Devi, the Happiness Lady. Well, howdy, y'all. Rudrani Devi, the Happiness Lady, here again for another episode of the Choosing Happiness podcast. Even wrote a book about it. Choosing Happiness, an uncommon way to find joy in your life. Speaks 8 languages. Give it to all your cranky pants people. That's my request. Or maybe maybe they're addicted to their cranky pants. I know my mama is sometimes. She just loves her traumas and dramas, but that's not what we're here to talk about. My next guest is, number one, she's gorgeous. So jump on over to the YouTube, y'all. Do yourself a favor. Her name is Agate Lerolle, and she is a wizard of magnitude. She helps people manifest their dream businesses. So she's a business coach. You've heard of life coaches. Well, there's part of that involved in her career as well, but she is a business coach of magnitude, and she looks for those higher end talented people that want to take their businesses to the next level. It's a very important job. She's going to tell us all about it. Welcome to the podcast. So happy you could be with us today.
Thank you, Rudrani. I'm very happy to meet with you. And yes, I focus on careers. I love it. Mm-hmm.
I love that you do that. There's just a lot of people, they know what they're doing, but they don't know how to market themselves. Have you noticed? I have my team of people that take care of me because, I can do this, I can do me, but I don't know how to do all those things to get to the peeps.
Yeah, so, I know. It's a practice to speak about yourself, but you know what? Eventually we practice and we get better.
We get there. Mm-hmm. So where are you from? And this interesting French name that you have, I understand you're married to an Italian, you're mama of 2, all the things. Where did you come from? You're very exotic.
Yes. And in fact, it's kind of like a little thing I have with my clients. I love people who are from different backgrounds. I'm currently in New York, where most of us are immigrants anyway. Nobody's really from New York. When you meet a real New Yorker, you're like, you're born here? Anyway, I was born in Casablanca in Morocco, and then lived in Belgium, and then Malaysia, and then landed in Paris. So I was used very young to be the odd one in the class. And
sure.
Yeah.
The special one, y'all.
The one who didn't speak language.
Right. Wow. So I'm sure you're fluent in French.
Oui. French, English, some Spanish, some Italian.
Italiano, che cosa per questo? Okay, because our husband's Italian.
Yes.
So was he from Italy, or was
he from Italy? He is from Italy.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So now I got to know how you two met, because that's how did a French aristocrat meet this Italian man? Were you out somewhere in the world, or did you find him in New York?
I was recently or freshly divorced, and I went to a party, and there he was. And I said,
as one does.
As one does. And it was a Halloween party. And my kids had these football uniforms, and I took the football jersey and the helmet and put 2 little black stripes under my ears and went to the party. So
nice.
That's how we met.
So cute. So you're into football?
No, I don't know anything about football.
Oh.
But
yeah, I have a lot of clients that are ballers, but I couldn't tell you much about the game. I do like the halftime show, though. Mm-hmm. Sorry I said that out loud on the podcast. But it is what it is. So cool. Well, okay. Mm-hmm. So then you've been doing this for 5 years. So before COVID, what made you leap into this business? And was it a complete different turning around from what you were doing before? What were you doing before?
So what I've been doing for 19 years almost is recruiting. So I get hired by companies like luxury brands to hire people for their offices, corporate positions, like a head of retail, marketing, CFOs, all these corporate jobs. They hire me because they can't quite find the talent, they don't have the time, or they want somebody special that's going to fit their culture. And because I have this multi-culture and I understand Europe, I understand the US, I understand quite a few cultures, I find them people who can fit in their organization. And that's like swiping left when you meet guys. It's like, no, not enough time here, not the right diploma, not this, not that. And so it's, I work for companies and find just the best. And then I burned out and I found
Yeah.
a coach and I discovered coaching and I was like, wow, this is so cool. And so I got a certification and then another one. And now I coach people who get stuck or burned out. Um, and
You've been there. you,
yes,
you know it so well, intimately. It's like
so, so
that's important because you can hold their hand through it, Hey, hang on, you got this.
I have a PhD in burnout because I almost burned out twice and I burned out hard. So I know my burnout people like the back of my hand because yeah, it's embodied. It's not wisdom, it's embodied experience.
Cool. So is it diverse? Has it been many different separate types of businesses that you've helped? What's probably gives an idea of what that could look like.
Yeah. So I help a lot of people I help individuals who are usually looking for a change in their career, looking to leave a company after 25 years, looking to gain more confidence, looking to become more visible. So I coach individuals in their relationship with work.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what has been, because I know it's you kind of have this beeline for luxury
hmm
businesses. What would
hmm
that mean? Is it like someone who would try to market their, I don't know, their handmade shoes or bags,
So
or is it
yeah, I mean any of the
okay?
above. I've coached
Okay.
executives in at Chanel. I've coached executives at Google. I've coached
Oh,
people who are designers. I've coached people who are, and they're all. So I call my clients. I'll tell you, I call my clients Achilles. Achilles was the son of a Greek goddess
hmm,
and a human. And because he was so as a son of a goddess and a human, he was human. And so
hmm.
his mother, to give him extra powers, like every helicopter mom there is, dipped him in the Styx River and he became invincible all around his body except by the heel where she held him because that's where
Right.
the mother didn't touch. So I
I forgot this story. I remember this story now.
yeah, and
So through your Achilles.
so my clients have all superpowers. They're super smart, or they're very driven, or they're very resilient, whatever it is, one specific area. But you're okay? Yeah. They have a weakness, they have a vulnerability. And their vulnerability is that when they doubt deeply, deeply about themselves and they think they have a problem because they have superpowers. So usually they fly through things pretty easily. So when there's an obstacle, they don't think, oh, here's an obstacle to face. It's like, oh my God, there's an obstacle. I must be the problem. So self doubt. I coach on self doubt, deep self doubt.
So you find that that's the thing that's the common denominator with all
Yes.
your clients is they
Yeah.
doubt their superpowers.
They have
Because I said you
superpowers.
were a wizard. Yeah. I know what my superpowers are. I know what they are not. And I'm vulnerable enough to actually tell people, hey, you know what? I'm really not good at that. I'll give you an example. Recently, I had a friend. She's got a something called Psychic University, and
Ooh.
we're both psychics, and we've known each other because we've taken a lot of the same classes, and we've taught a lot of classes. We've been in each other's classes, and she decided to create this Psychic University program, and it kind of came around organically because she had a couple of women that wanted her to coach them. So
Mhm.
the job kind of found her. She decided to turn it into a business. So she created a Facebook page and she reached out to me and she goes, listen, I'm doing this thing called Psychic University. You want to help me out with it? And if you can vet people in, I'll give you commissions. And I love talking to people. I thought, well, I'm kind of in between doing a lot of things right now because I'm leaning more towards uh, my singing career and writing career. And
Mhm.
so I thought, in the interim, I'm gonna help her out.
Mhm.
But what I noticed was when I was vetting these people, the biggest common denominator they had was that they didn't trust their knowing. If they weren't clairaudient and they didn't actually hear words, but they got the information, a lot of times they would doubt themselves because
Yeah.
not everybody has all the clairs, you know.
Yeah.
So I mean, sometimes I actually hear words, or whatever it is. But I noticed that that was the thing. And what was so beautiful about this group that she created was there was this free Facebook group and everybody was supporting each other in this way,
Mhm.
and they were like, thank God we found you because everybody, my family thinks I'm nuts that I talk to ghosts, you know? So I love what you're doing. I love what you're doing. Can you
You know,
can you give us an example of one of the people that you've coached and where you've brought them from when they first met you and where you got them to?
sure.
Like one that sticks with you. Oh, this person really, thought
Yeah.
that they were never gonna, and now they've got all
So
these followers or whatever it is.
I had a client who was really, really good at what he was doing in his company, and but knew he was, under his full potential, and but he was a bit shy, he was a bit introvert, etc. And when we started digging, he realized he knew so much. I said, like, what about putting all this in a format and sharing with others? Long story short, he's created a newsletter that he sends once a month that is already, I don't know how many subscribers came out, and he
Huh.
was able to see himself as an expert. So he flipped
Oh,
it. It's nothing changed, but the vision he had of himself. And I have another,
confidence.
yeah, but just, seeing a side of yourself, believing there's another side of yourself, telling a new story, a fresh story. I have a woman who was running a super huge beauty brand, and she lacked so much confidence. She was always saying, "But I'm so bad. And so she was interviewing for another job, and
Hmm.
when she was interviewing, she would always try to convince the person that she was, you know, good, because
Right,
she
sure.
was.
She's trying
But
to sell herself.
exactly, but that tone of trying to convince people and justifying herself made it that she did the exact opposite reaction in
Mm.
people.
Kind of like she was pushing herself on them or trying too hard, maybe.
She was trying to
Yeah.
justify herself because she didn't believe in herself, so she was justifying her own self to others.
Mm.
So that's how we kind of like switch. We don't switch big things. We switch like a deep thought of that is kind of stuck, kind of an error thought that we believed long ago, and
Mhm.
that is, and we go and dig what small thought, like not believing yourself, not trusting yourself, thinking that others are better than you, like, comparison, things like that. And we go
Right.
in and we flip that switch on the other side, and then makes it so much easier.
So did she end up creating her own business or did she end up finally being able to interview and get that next step job or
She got that big
she
job.
finally realized that she was an expert?
No, she
All
got that
things.
big job in front of so many other candidates and in the brand she wanted and she had dreamed of. And I think she couldn't even believe it herself because everything
Wow.
came, so organically, and they wanted her. And so it's pretty cool to see how reality realigns itself when you start
Hmm.
thinking differently. But you know that better than anybody.
I love that. Well, no, absolutely. I mean, I believe it or not, you guys, I was a very shy girl growing up. I mean, I remember what really pulled me out of it.
Hmm.
Well, I'll give you an example. When I was very young, I wanted to be a singer, dancer, actress, but again, I lacked the confidence to believe that I could ever have those skills. And so, I'm taking tap and ballet at a very young age. I took some break dancing, all sorts of things. Now I'm dating myself. But needless to say, I remember that I was auditioning. I worked for the sound and light crew. I was like the only girl with all these guys. And so hanging rigs and lighting and all this stuff. And then I decided I wanted to be on the stage. So I had to audition. So now I've got to put myself in front of people. And I remember getting up there and she asked me what my name was. And I'm saying my name and I'm giggling. And she asked me if I could sing a song. And I just was like giggling out of nervousness.
Yeah.
And then she finally said, you know, I know you're nervous, but if you can step into who you are, pretend like nobody else is here, the giggling shows that you're not confident. But I know you've got it in you. I've seen you with the guys hanging the rigs and all this stuff, and
Mhm.
you're very confident with them. Pretend like it's them sitting there, or pretend like there's nobody here. And so, I had to sing a song. So I turned around so that I couldn't see anybody, and started to sing the song. And then I turned around and was singing it out, but not even looking at her, just looking out into the audience. And something happened. It was like, I'll never forget that moment of coaching that she gave me. And I was maybe 11,
Mhm.
12, something like that. It was like the Playhouse Juniors edition. It
Yeah.
wasn't the
And what
full-on
happened?
big plays.
How did it feel?
And I got done and they applauded. And I got the part. And it wasn't a huge part, but because I'm
Mhm.
11, but I had a couple of lead lines in the song, and I had a couple of sentences in the play, and it led to me doing more. And I mean, you don't have to ask me to sing once. When
And
you said, your name was Agate, you heard me. I went right into it. I'm in my sunroom, so 'cause I've got family staying here, y'all, and the acoustics in here are great. So I just went right into it. I've got the power. So
but
you don't
how did
have
it,
to. I mean, I don't have that nervous
Rudrani,
bone in my body anymore.
tell
Yes, ma'am.
me how it felt when you were 11. Do you remember the feeling it felt when you started singing and when that lifted?
Well, it's interesting because I'd always sang in the choir, but there's everybody else singing with me. So
Yeah.
I always knew I could sing. I didn't
Yeah.
realize how many people can't sing. I thought everybody had that talent and ability, and that is not true.
I'm one of
But
them.
that moment, what's that, honey?
I'm one of them. I can't sing.
Oh, you're one of those people. Okay. Well, it's interesting. I teach a right voice for you class to help
Mhm.
people step into their voice, whether they're doing public speaking or singing or whatever it is. Being able to speak up in your family, being able to talk to your partner or whatever it is, right? And but that moment was an identifier for me because I realized, especially when I got the applause, that I had I've got this, that I can actually do this. And I liked it. I liked it. It's like when a comedian, when they're on and
Mhm.
everybody's laughing at everything they're doing, and there's this adrenaline that
Yeah.
happens,
Yeah.
you know? And I sing big songs, girl. I sing Aretha Franklin, Patti LaBelle, Mother's Finest. And I don't sound like Aretha. Don't sound like her at all. But I feel like I'm channeling her spirit every time I sing because I'm
Mhm.
honoring her and her
And
songs. She didn't
Rudrani,
write them. She was a songwriter also. But
you know
yes,
what?
ma'am.
You touched
What?
upon something super important because there's actually two different things. There's confidence and there's competence. You
Mm,
knew how to sing, but you didn't feel confident about showing up and singing. And when
yeah.
I coach mainly people who go to interviews and they have to talk about themselves. And they're very competent, but maybe they're not confident. Like they feel tired, they don't have a job, or they haven't updated their resume. And that confidence kind of like drains and spills into the competence. And actually, they're
Yeah.
two different things. It's like imagine if you're a doctor and on the day you go to the interview, you've got a sneeze. That doesn't make you a bad doctor. You're just a doctor with a sneeze. Your competence, your skills to, evaluate somebody's health is intact. And so that
Sure.
happens when people have, in times in their careers, they'll go to interviews, but because they don't have the right job or they don't have whatever it takes, they think they're not competent.
Right.
And so it's
That you nailed it.
separating these two things.
You nailed it. I think I gained my confidence in that moment
Mhm.
when people acknowledged me that I could actually sing. I mean, this woman was like, girl, you could have a singing career. You could absolutely have a singing career. And I did. I ended up actually being the lead singer of an all-girl rock band when I came to Nashville. I auditioned. I was like the last person. It was like I heard about it a little too late, and I get there, and they're getting ready to tear everything down. And they're like, oh, and you could see that they were exhausted and probably hadn't found their person yet. I don't know. I found out later. I mean, they had me sing, gosh, now I'm trying to think of the song. It was a Who song. Now I'm really dating myself, but really big, powerful song. And I think they threw it at me because the band was there playing. And I think they threw it at me to discourage me. And I was like, oh, I love that song. And they had the words, so I could at least read the words in case. And I sang it. And I mean, I'm like, I got into the guitarist's face, and she was like, you could tell she was vibing in the whole thing. And it's like I never lacked I know I can bring it, and I
And
know the things I don't do so well. So
yeah,
like your,
because you put your whole self into it also. I think,
yeah,
that's the
yeah,
thing is I think that, um, we tiptoes in things. When you put yourself into it, like, of
mhm,
course, the door's gonna open.
right. Yeah, it's intoxicating, when you're willing to be all of you. I mean,
Mhm.
others find it, in my humble opinion here, intoxicating, and it encourages them to be able to do the same. But
Exactly.
we
Yeah.
need to take a little station identification break, Miss Agat, because I got to pay the bills. So,
Good.
uh,
Let's do that.
y'all, my sponsor, Mandu, it's not a hair salon for men. Manduu. Look it up. I also have it in the show notes. I call it the electrocution workout. They do not like it when I call it that, but it's basically a bunch of TENS units on a bodysuit, and then they get their exercise on. 15 minutes. It's like you worked out for an hour and a half. So let's do this 1 minute commercial. We'll be right back.
Do is a boutique fitness studio concept, and we are actually the first FDA cleared EMS training workout. And what we do essentially is that we will have a client come in, we will hook them up to a whole body EMS suit, and then we perform a workout on a medical grade device called an eFit device. And that device will send an electrical current to their body through electrodes in these suits that we put on them. And this electrical current is just basically stimulating the electrical current that you already have inside your body. So everybody is made up of electrical impulses. It's what helps you walk, helps you move. We're tapping into that and making it stimulate it more to where we can cause a muscle to actually contract involuntarily. So we can actually create resistance without adding a load to the body. So that is why we, as you see online, it always says ultra low impact. It is scientifically proven. It is absolutely ultra low impact.
And we're back, y'all. With the lovely Agate Lerolle. Did I say that correctly?
Oui.
I love a French accent. Say anything in French. Just say anything in French.
Ah, vous êtes très belle aujourd'hui, madame.
That's gorgeous. That was
Yes.
gorgeous. What did she say? She could have called me some bad names, but she actually didn't. Because I
No,
understood you.
you're beautiful today, Mrs.
Thank you so much. So I was loving this conversation we was having, and it was kind of like we hit that moment where, oh, there's just this one little piece missing when you're selling yourself, and that's that ability to be confident, you know, to know that that you've got
Yeah.
this. I love it. When was that moment for you that this was going to be your career? Because you said you were the queen of burnout. So when did you actually have that aha moment?
Mm. Um,
Good question, Rue.
yeah, very good question. I think the aha moment has been along, when I think perhaps like in your story, a lot of my clients say, "Oh my God, you nailed me. I feel seen. I see them
Mm,
deeply." And then I think it gives them permission to see that. I'm like, I see the competence, I see the joy, I see what they have, I see their gifts. And they always say, "Oh my God, I feel seen. Like I feel acknowledged." And that is, what we all want. We want to feel seen for our gifts and even our silliness or
mhm,
whatever. And and it feels so good when people can see themselves with those um, eyes of um, of kindness, of gentleness, of love, and the positive side. Because I think we're very good at beating ourselves, like hitting ourselves and not being enough and not doing enough. And we're
right.
in a
Who's
self-help
going to be
culture.
interested in what I have? It's like all of that. So is that how it was for you when you said you met a coach and then
Mhm,
you got certified in this type of
mhm.
coaching? Was there a moment there where they were like, "Lady, you have got this. you've got this ability, and then you felt seen. Do you remember? I mean, because for me, it was like when everybody applauded.
Yeah.
And there weren't that many people there. I mean, it was everybody else that was auditioning. You were auditioning in front of other people that are probably just as nervous as you are, you know? So
I think, I had a moment. I was doing a presentation for a big company, a big luxury company. And I was doing a presentation for their team. And all of a sudden the head of HR, like grabbed me at the end and said, "Why don't you come and work for us?" And all of a sudden, it gave me that gush of like, oh, I've got it. I've got something they want. And she told me, oh, there's all these and I started saying, but I don't have that. And I don't have that specific skill. And she told me, I'll teach you that. What you've got, I can't teach. And
I love it.
and that felt like very validating. Yeah, true.
I know what you mean. I recently decided that I was going to stop traveling as much as I had been. My mother had taken a spill, and it made me feel uncomfortable because I couldn't always get a mommy sitter for her. And although she does still teach piano, y'all, at 90 years of age, soon to be 91, I knew that there'd be people coming to the house, but if she had fallen in the garage or something, they wouldn't have known what would have happened to her. And I can't always have her phone on herself. So I was trying to find another thing that I could do that I would enjoy, maybe part-time, to make up for the classes I wasn't going to be leaving town to teach anymore, right? And I decided I was going to go back into selling jewelry, because all through high school and college, I sold jewelry and I became a diamond broker, but I hadn't done it in years. I mean, we're talking when I was a teenager in my early 20s, and now here I am, much further along, y'all. And I'm like, no one's going to hire me with the resume I have, because there's not one mention of selling jewelry ever in my resume. So, needless to say, I put myself out there, and they were like, you're confident. We like your personality and everything, but you haven't been in sales for a long time. I sell myself all the time, and I teach these classes and da 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 da. And I was going into these really, really high-end jewelry stores because nobody could tell me I couldn't, right?
Yeah.
And they weren't going to hire me. They were like, they look at my resume and they said, well, you're psychic and you're a healer and you teach classes. I don't see anything in here that makes you qualified to sell diamonds. So anyway, long story short, I finally got in front of a manager lady that I recognized her ring. I even said, oh, that's a beautiful lady on. She goes, you know what this is? And I said, girl, I'm all about jewelry. I like pretty things. I don't know, for all of you looking on YouTube, you can see I got my diamonds on and all the stuff. And she said, we do have a store. It's not in Nashville proper, but it's in Cool Springs, which is about a 15-minute drive for me. Why don't I set up for you to talk to the manager there? And I went to go talk to him. And because of my personality, he said, I feel crazy hiring you because you have not, in a long time, but I really need the help. I'm willing to give you a shot. And so it was my confidence that sold me and got me that job. And I think basically, regardless of your talents and abilities or not, if you believe in you, you can learn anything. Because that's what he said. I said, I'm not, back in the day when I was selling jewelry, I wrote it up, I gave it to somebody else and they rang it up. I didn't do all this stuff on the computer. I didn't do, we were talking about computer skills earlier. I mean, I do love the computer, but sometimes I have, these senior moments where I don't know what I'm doing. I got to ask a child to help me, or my niece or whatever, but it's that thing. If you're willing to learn and someone's willing to teach you. And so I guess that's what it was for you when she said,
and you said you
how to do that.
This is the thing, is you didn't justify that you didn't have and try to make up for it or pretend, right? What you did is like, oh, I see that. And I think that's the super key, is to show that like that beginner's mind and the willingness to learn is more important, because let's face it, since COVID, so many things have changed. So what we want, what is more even important than IQ, is what this guy, I can't remember his name, but he said, I'll hire PQ and CQ anytime over IQ. And PQ is passion quotient, your capacity to be passionate about something and to really, and CQ is curiosity quotient. And he says young people need that passion and that curiosity. I don't want somebody who's come and just like, plug and play and just do the same thing. I want somebody who's passionate. I want somebody who's curious, who's really going to want to follow through. And that's much more important than the skills these days.
Yeah. Drive and desire, is going to get you a lot further.
Of course.
People can tell when you're not enjoying what you're doing. And I actually really like the people I'm working with because they're very knowledgeable. They're funny. They like people. You got to be a people person to be in sales for sure. And what was so funny was the first day he wouldn't even give me a key. And I outsold everybody by pointing into the glass cabinet because they wanted me to get all the schooling I had to do on the computer first, to vet you in and all this. And I'm still not done with that because since that day, every time I come there, they hand me the key and it's like, we need you out on the floor. This one woman was selling something and then she had to answer the phone or whatever. And I just stood there with the lady. I said, that cross with all the diamonds, I mean, this is your 7-year anniversary. I think, it's something that is going to really speak to your husband. And when he doesn't wear it, it's nice enough for you to wear also. We'll put it on a 20-inch chain and, you share it, da, da, da. And by the time the girl came back, that's what we sold. And it was over $2,000,
Well, I mean,
not to make it about the money, but she was selling her on something that was like $200 or $300. And I'm like,
Rudrani,
would you rather have that?
Yeah, Rudrani, you see, that's the thing. When people want a new job or when people want a new gift, what they want is not that specific job or a specific bracelet or whatever. What they want is the feeling they're going to get when they get this.
Thank you. Thank you. Because that's what it's about. For me in jewelry, I love matching the jewelry to the person who's going to appreciate it. This has consciousness also. These pearls I'm pointing to on my wrist, for those of you that are not watching on the YouTube, they have consciousness also. And I remember when I saw them in the counter, I don't remember exactly where I bought them. I pick up stuff every, I save jewelry is what I say. I save them from being stuck in a cabinet for maybe their entire life.
I'm better at saving croissant, but that's another story.
until you kill it by eating it. But anyway.
Well, we merge. It's a version. But that's I love
that you
want a job in luxury, and what they really want is they want to be part of a luxurious experience. And so I tell them, if you want to be working in luxury and be part of this very exquisite experience, you've to start being intentional about everything, about how you speak, because it's about how you make people feel. And that's the secret behind good salespeople, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, because that's a big purchase. I work at Kay's Jewelers, y'all. Every kiss begins with Kay's. That's the little line. And we're actually the most popular, which I didn't know this, and it's not a high-end jewelry store. I mean, when I say that, I don't mean anybody that works at Kay's or all the stuff. It's Signet Jewelers, but we're more of the mainstream. So more people come to us than these really big, like Tiffany's and that kind of thing. Because that's where I was going first. I was applying at Tiffany's and they're just looking at me like, and I came in with more jewels on than any of them was wearing. I know stuff. They were trying to sell me. I'm like, actually, I'd like a job here. But where I ended up being was in where the masses go. We don't have maybe the nicest piece. I mean, we do have this beautiful 3-carat diamond, y'all. Oh my goddess, it's so gorgeous. It's perfect.
But
it's
you see,
perfect clarity. I've shown it. We had it for 1 week and I showed it to like 5 people the first day that it was
there. But you see, that's also beautiful because I often think of my clients as diamonds in the raw. And diamonds, when you find them, they're really rough. They need to go into cutting. They need to go into polishing. They need to go into a setting. And that's the same with talent. Even if you have great talent, there's a moment where, and diamonds is so weird and counterintuitive because you have to cut the diamond to make it shine. So you have to take out some stuff. So with talent, sometimes it's like, well, give me really the essential. Show me how you shine. And then you have to polish it. And then you have to find a good setting to fit in. And so there is work that goes through it. And it's really important. And I don't believe, I mean, luxury has this aura and this mystic where, it's super um you have to be privileged, you have to be this and that, because that's how they bring you to this aspirational. But jewelry is anybody who wants to really give a gift that's going to last. So
Mhm.
if it's easier to open the Kay's door than the Tiffany's door, it's not the difference.
Right.
Important is the intention
Well,
you have for the gift.
I mean, the whole point around a diamond engagement ring is, hey, this is a rare, precious thing that she's going to be wearing her entire life. It's as precious as this union that you've created as a couple. And
Mhm.
that's how I approach it. I love it when I get these young couples come up and they'll be like, well, we're just looking. I said, well, let's look together. Let's play a little. You don't have to buy anything today. And you can see them lighting up, just putting it on their hand and taking a look. And the guy's like puffing his chest out
Of
because he
course.
sees, oh my gosh, my lady's loving that. He's going to want to spend that extra or whatever. Because I mean, I'm really good at upping people a notch or two. I'm like, the quality, the shine. It doesn't have to be the biggest stone, but this is a forever thing. She's going to wear this forever till death do us part. Don't go
And
into
you
the
know
death
what?
part.
That is also the skills, your own skills, your singing skills. These are
Mm,
your diamonds, your own journey that you have to shine on a regular basis, that you have to take care on a regular basis, that you have to puff your chest also, because these are your gifts. They're gifts given to you. And that's super, that's super important to really
thank you.
remember ourselves of our gifts.
Mhm, mhm. True. True story, y'all. So, what are your gifts, people out there in podcast land, that you've not been acknowledging? That if you would just acknowledge them and step into your power,
Mhm.
could create and generate beyond what you thought was possible.
And it's usually
You know,
something that comes easy to you.
yeah.
Actually comes
You know
so
what? Yeah,
easy.
that's what it is.
People don't
I
think it's a
never thought I
gift.
could get paid for singing, because I thought it's too easy for me to sing. No one's going to pay me to, whatever, like that.
Mhm,
It's funny because I have a friend that he started out, well, he sold houses, but he also was an expert in
mhm,
antiques. And he was always helping people, he'd sell them a house and they would help them find some antiques. And he finally realized he could get paid for doing that particular skill, because if it's something that you love to do and it's easy for you, it's like, I don't know, it's like air. Because you don't have to deserve to breathe the air. Everybody breathes the air. But what if it was as easy as breathing the air, y'all?
yeah,
And you explore that,
yeah. And I
because you're
think my
definitely a person.
my bullshit radar is kind of my gift. Is if it doesn't match, I'll let you know so that you can be coherent, because I think that's the thing, is like the stories we tell and what we say when they don't match, that's where
Yeah,
it
to
feels.
pretend to be something you're not because you think that that's what people are wanting. When what if you being you is actually the gift that could change their world and yours? People accepting you for exactly who you are. And when you write that book, because I know you're going to write one, I want you to use that diamond analogy because I think that's perfect. I mean, what diamond in the rough are you, people out there,
Mhm,
podcast
mhm.
land? That if you actually would acknowledge your true gifts, you could just shine beyond what you ever thought was possible.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. This has been an amazing conversation. Yes,
Oh,
I got.
same, same. It's
Thank
fun
you
to
so much.
play.
And thank you so much for being that for so many people. Especially, I mean, it's kind of a weird time, and a lot of people are trying to regain footing and all of this, and so I love that you're one of those hand holders out there that can, and that does have the bullshit meter in place, and will be totally honest with people because that's what it takes. I want people to be real with me. If I'm not your
Mhm,
cup of tea, it's fine. I will get out of your face. I will. I promise. All the things. But before we go, this is called the Choosing Happiness podcast, y'all. So
mhm.
please tell my listeners, what is it you do for you, just for fun, that gets your happy on?
Okay, this is so weird, but maybe, I love books. I love reading about quantum physics. Not that I understand much, but I keep reading it because since I'm young, I've loved reading mysteries and things I don't really understand, and I'm trying to find to get my brain to understand. So I love thrillers, mysteries, quantum physics. I love dancing. I'm a very poor dancer, but I've taken voguing, extra cha-cha-cha and everything. And I only dance for me because I don't know if I was born with two left foot. I
So fun.
love,
You ever make it to Nashville, I'm taking you dancing.
yes, please.
Dance like nobody's watching, y'all.
I will put like sunglasses on. And I love hang out with friends and my kids and my husband and traveling. I love traveling. I'm never happier that if you put me on a train, a bus, a plane, and discovering new places and discovering how people live in these places, that makes my heart sing.
I love it. That's
So books
fantastic.
and planes.
Very cool. Well, where can my people find you? And we will put it all in the show notes, y'all. But do a little shout out. I know you have a lovely website. Are you also in all the other socials?
I'm kind of a poor social media person in the sense that it takes, I don't know, I get lost in it versus doing anything with it. But in terms of career, most people are on LinkedIn, and you can find me on LinkedIn, which is the place. And I have a newsletter that you can sign on my Substack or on my email. And every week since 2 years, I send a little newsletter and I get into people's brain and I say how we can unlock those little, not enough thoughts. And that gives me a lot of joy. So I'll meet you there.
I love it. I love that you love books. So write your book. It's time.
I know.
Write your book.
I know.
All the things. And thank you so much for being my guest today, and for sharing all your insights. And you guys out there in podcast land, if you know someone that could benefit from this conversation, please share this episode with them. And, if you enjoy these conversations, you could subscribe, and then you'll know every single time one of these here podcasts drops. So thank y'all for listening now and in the future. And thank you, Miss Agate, again, for number one, being beautiful inside and also on the outside.
Thank you, Rudrani. And I have to say that the diversity of your guest is fascinating, and that you can speak to so many different people in so many different contexts speaks to the breadth of your experience. And because it's really cool to be able to go from one place to another, from doctors to healers to career people, it's really so rich as an environment. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for saying it. I love learning. I'm a very curious individual. And I've been fortunate enough to have friends that are amazing. And then I've gotten to meet a lot of new people like you because of this podcast, and people seem to really enjoy it. I mean, I've had singers on that are famous. I've had, probably the most famous astrologer to the stars, in California. He is booked up for like 17 years. He's like, I've got to live at least 17 years because I am booked. And he's amazing. And I remember when Steve was, I could just call him and then be on the books like in 3 months, and now 17 years. So wow. I'm very lucky with the people that show up for this podcast, and it is a lot of fun. It's very diverse. You never know what we're going to talk about, y'all. But if you're as curious as I am, come along for the ride.
Yeah.
Thank you again. Appreciate you so much.
Appreciate it, Johnny. It's been a dream.
Okay, y'all. You know what I'm going to say. Until next time. Ciao, ciao for now. Thank you so much for choosing happiness. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe, share, and give us a like. And if you want more happy, subscribe to the Choosing Happiness membership where you can play directly with me, Rudrani Devi, the Happiness Lady. How does it get any better than that?